Hi, good evening. My name's Terrence Daly. I'm an international studies major and my focus is on Africa, and my personal study is on international development. And this was particularly relevant to my summer study because I interned in Africa for a development organization. It was called the Blantyre Synod Health and Development Commission, and it was in Malawi, which is in southeastern Africa. And I was in Blantyre, which is in the southern Africa. Blantyre is one of the biggest cities in Malawi, one of the two biggest. Its population is 1 million. And I don't want this presentation to be all about the plight of Africa, because there's plenty of positives, especially for Malawi. It's been a peaceful, stable democracy since 1994. It has a functional banking system, including a stock market. Under the leadership of President Bingu, they've been making great infrastructure improvements, most notably in Sanjay Port, which is at the very south. It's due to be finished next year, and it'll connect Malawi to the Indian Ocean and greatly reduce transportation costs, which has been one of the greatest obstacles to companies investing in Malawi, so that'll be a great improvement. It also has great potential for tourism. The people are friendly and warm. In fact, they're nicknamed the warm heart of Africa, and that was really true for my experience there. Really good people. Lake Malawi is huge and beautiful, and they have the third biggest mountain in Africa and good safari potential. Despite these reasons for hope, there's plenty of sad things about Malawi. The life expectancy is still 50 years, and 12% of the population is infected with HIV. More than 80% of the labor force is still farming, and GDP per capita is low, around $800 per person. There's several development organizations working in Malawi, but I was drawn to the Blantyre Synod Development and Health Commission because I met their director in 2008, and he explained to me that they had a real grassroots approach and explained how they aim to holistically develop the communities. They don't just work on one aspect of development, but everything. They have different branches that work on combating HIV/AIDS, caring for orphans, educating adults and children, improving water sanitation, working on agriculture projects, etc. When I told him I was particularly interested in microfinance, he sounded a little iffy about it. He said their program was kind of dead for the time, and that really disappointed me. But it turned out to be a good thing in the end. But before I go into that, these were the types of areas we were working. The slums outside Blantyre, the city. But let me briefly explain microfinance in case people aren't familiar. The modern concept of microfinance was started in the 80s by Dr. Muhammad Yunus from Bangladesh. Traditionally, poor people can't borrow because they don't have any collateral to borrow against. But he found that social collateral worked just as well as any financial collateral. The way he worked this was he lent to groups. He lent to groups of 5, and if one person in the group defaulted, then nobody in that group could borrow. So the social pressures to pay back turned out to be even more effective than personal financial pressure. It's worth noting that he mostly only lends to women. It turns out that women are more faithful repayers, and loans that go to the females in the household greatly enhance the well-being of everybody in the home, whereas loans to the man usually just go to improving his situation, unfortunately. And microfinance has become really popular in the last 2 decades. And so the Blantyre Synod Health and Development Commission tried it 10 years ago, and they failed. So that's why that sector of their group wasn't really vibrant when I got there. But they started a new approach, which is called the savings and loans approach. And the difference here is that there's no outside capital that you lend to people. It's groups of 15 or 20, and they bring their own savings to the group pool. Usually, from my experience here, it was about 50 cents per week, and they would borrow from the group pool to make investments in their personal businesses. Most of them were farmers, tomato, groundnuts, but many of them were bakers or a lot of small businesses. My personal job was to get these groups started and operating. I would go with a translator to the different townships and villages of Blantyre, and I would try to spur interest. I'd usually go about 2 times because it takes a lot to get people that don't have much money. A lot of them are living day to day to invest in something like this. It's really scary. So once they were convinced, we would elect, or they would elect their own chairperson and leaders of the group, and then we would help them make their constitution, because every group wanted slightly different things. They wanted to save different amounts, they wanted different penalties for not repaying, etc. And then I would go watch their first couple meetings, make sure everything was functioning, and then I wouldn't go back. I knew they were fine on their own, and that was the part that was most exciting to me. Just to know that it was really sustainable, and these will go on even though I'm back here. I'd like to thank everybody in the CCE staff. You're all a great help for me this summer, and a special thanks to the Burhans for making this opportunity possible. Thank you.